guys, so I wanted to do an updated week setup now that I've been using it for a while. The weeks officially started on the 30th of November, but I've actually been using it since the end of October because I just couldn't wait. So when I did my first setup video, that was before it had officially started, and now that I've been using it for a few weeks with the diary pages, I thought it would be nice to do an update. So I have this amazing week's cover, which I just did a review on. And when you open it, I've got a picture of James in this see-through photo pocket. I don't have anything in here because I'm not using stickers, which is in a way a bit sad because these are so perfect for keeping stickers. But I decided not to use stickers in this, and I'll show you what I'm doing instead. That was partly because I was afraid of it getting really bulky, because the Weeks is so slim and it's made of Tomoe river paper. Stickers, like a lot of stickers, are kind of as thick as a piece of paper, so you'll know if you put a lot of stickers in your Hobonichis that they can get really fat, and I kind of didn't want that to happen with the Weeks, so I was afraid to risk it, even though I love stickers. So I don't have anything here, although that might change. And here I've got two different types of sticky notes. So these are from Paper Chase, and they're little owls. And then these are from Kiki K. I just bought this packet today, and I'm really excited about it. A Kiki K shop just opened in London, and I went there, and it was like, I'm so happy, I'm in paradise. So exercising remarkable restraint, I think. I just bought these sticky notes and a packet of metallic pens. But I really like these because they're so like happy and colorful, and I'm using them as a kind of dashboard. I'll show you. So yeah, so I've got these, and then I've got it's escaping. Okay, in this pocket I have one of the week's notebooks, and I use this for recording information that I want to be able to transfer from year to year. So like bank details, a few birthdays, some like kind of information about my dog's pet insurance, like that kind of stuff. And that just fits in this pocket. This, I mean, I talked at length in the previous video about how awesome this cover is. So if you want more details about it, you can check that out. I'll leave it linked below, but this is just a perfect cover for the Weeks. So then I have the Weeks on the other side in another pocket, and it just fits perfectly. And I like it because you kind of have access to the cloth cover, and I like the feel of the cover, and you can also see the 2016 stamp, which I liked. And the way that I had it set up initially, I had it in the plastic cover on cover, which I didn't ever really completely love, because it sort of didn't feel as substantial as I wanted a Week's cover to be. And I had a postcard here, so you couldn't actually see this. So I'm really happy now that this is kind of out in the open again, and it's not covered in plastic, and you can see the year. So then when you open it, you have my beloved elephant postman, who is bringing planner happy mail goodness. And I just cut it down a little bit so that it would fit the Weeks, and I've stuck this on with glue dots. I got these from Paper Chase, and they're like removable, repositionable sticky dots, and so you just like kind of stick them on the back, and you can move them. You have to be a bit careful that they don't tear the paper if you take them up, but they are removable and repositionable. And I really like these because I first had this stuck on with washi tape, and it just felt a bit lumpy, and I didn't like it. I think because the postcard is kind of thick, so if you put the washi tape on, it somehow, it's like it's an uneven surface, and I didn't really like the way it looked, so I'm much happier with this. And then on the other side here, I've got one of these awesome Kiki K pineapples, and I'm just using this as like a kind of dashboard. One of the things that I learned that I kind of picked up from using a ringed planner as my personal planner is the usefulness of the dashboard, which is something that I'd never used before in a bound planner. And so I kind of wanted to transfer that over, because even though I write everything in the Weeks section, you know, like all of my to-dos, occasionally I think it's nice just to have a kind of backup in case you forget something, so that as soon as you open it, you always remember to check here and see if there's anything that you really, really can't forget. Because, you know, I'm sure that you've had this experience where sometimes you just, like when you're out, you just can't remember that there's actually something important that you've written in your planner. Maybe I'm the only one that does this, but you go home and you're like, oh, I forgot to do that, and it was in my planner. So I think this is a kind of nice, like fail-safe, a sort of backup, that if I just get into the habit of always checking here, this is like, don't forget this. So today I had to go to the co-op, and then I have to buy tea towels tomorrow. So those are like kind of the things that I really don't want to forget, because I do check this obviously regularly because I love it throughout the day, but it's just a kind of extra precaution. And this I do have taped on with washi tape because I found that for some reason sticky notes, at least the ones that I've had, don't stick very well to this. This is like the end pages of the weeks, and I don't know what it is about this material, but none of my sticky notes will stick to it. So I first tried putting this on here, but then it covered up the elephant postman, and because the point of this is that I want this to be like a kind of permanent thing, I thought that like that's no good. It did actually stick to that, but and then I was thinking about using the glue dots, but I decided not to because I'm going to be changing these out regularly, and I didn't want to risk damaging the paper, you know, like by tearing this off. So I'm happy with the washi tape. It doesn't bother me in this case. I think it actually looks quite nice because the colors contrast, and this isn't very thick, so there's no like kind of lumpiness. And then I just put a kind of accent of washi tape down the side, on both sides here. Just it actually originated as a practical emergency measure because I accidentally tore this, like kind of part of, I can't remember why, but I was experimenting with something, and kind of part of the lining of this paper came off, so I covered it with washi tape, but then I really liked it, so I covered the back as well. And it also makes it a bit sort of like more secure when you're turning it. Anyway, so I like that. And then I've just put a couple of diary stickers on here, so there's like a kind of tried to go for a planner theme, and be happy and thank you, which are things that I want to like kind of keep in mind. And so apparently somebody very kindly told me that this means time flies, the Hangul in Korean, and I thought that was fitting. And then on the calendar pages, I'm not doing anything with the yearly calendar. I was thinking of like marking off the months that had gone by, but I decided just to leave it. I'm not sure, maybe I'll highlight the months that have already gone by. I'm not sure if I'll highlight 2015 the whole year. I'll think about that, but for now I'm leaving it blank. And then we have the vertical yearly tracker, and this hasn't actually started that yet. This doesn't start until January, which is fair enough. It's odd because the rest of the planner actually starts in December 2015, but I think it's because of the layout, because this is 6 months to a page. If they put December in it, it would have like kind of thrown off the layout. So I'm just using the top bit to track a few different things. I'm not like a big tracker, but there are like a couple of different things that I track, and I'm just putting them in here, and then I'll start using this in January. And I've color coded there's like 4 different things, and I've color coded them. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking that when this starts that I might color code. It's just like kind of codes, because there's not a lot of room to put in here. So I don't know if I'll need to color code them, but it might be more convenient to just be able to look at them at a glance. And as you'll see, color coding is like kind of the theme of this planner. So I might continue with that, or not if it gets too complicated. So this is my month on 2 pages. And I actually started using it, like I said, about a month early, because this doesn't start until December. For October, November, I was tracking exercise and online orders. And so I put exercise down here, and I just made a little like table with the week. So it was like 6 weeks basically that I was using this before it actually started. And so I just made a little grid Monday to Sunday, and like kind of would tick off when I did what type of exercise. At first I was just using a tick system, and then I started using a code. So like C for cardio, W for walking, Y for yoga, B for bike. And I was just kind of writing which days I did that in here. So I didn't want it to take up too much space before the month actually started. And then this was order tracking. So when I ordered something, so this was my Hobo order. So I ordered it on the 1st of October and it was shipped on the 28th of October. You can imagine what a long, long month that was, waiting for that to ship. And then it arrived on the 6th of November. It actually arrived really quickly. And I've just highlighted these. I'm using these amazing friction highlighters, for which I have to thank the Sassy Pineapple for her amazing suggestion, because I wasn't really sure what to do when I first started using this, and I decided I didn't want to use stickers. So she suggested using these, and these are awesome. I love them, and obviously they're erasable, and this is a pack of 5, and it's 6, and it's all the colors of the rainbow, and I love anything rainbowtical, so these are really, really great, and I recommend them. There's no system to this. I just was coloring these in rainbow colors, just to make a pretty pattern, so that there's no meaning behind the choice of colors here. However, when you get up here, there is some meaning to it. So I started using this when the calendar actually started, and I'm doing, so you can see up here the things that I'm tracking, or maybe you can't. This is like the different types of exercise. Then, so purple is for purchases, orange is for water intake, blue is for when I've ordered something online other than Amazon. Like, I don't bother writing down Amazon as an online order because with Prime it comes the next day, so it's like there's nothing to track. And then green is for when something has been sent out, and then pink is for YouTube, and yellow is for exercise. So I kind of picked those colors at random. It didn't really mean anything at the time that I did it. I think randomly highlighted exercise as yellow, and then I kind of had to build the rest of the system around it. So I might change this on another month, but for now I'm sticking to this. So I usually put the videos up at the top, and I write in when I'm planning to do a video. Like here, this is the week's review, so I sort of scheduled it in tentatively here, and then when I've actually done it, I highlight it in pink, just so that like I can come back later and see when I did the videos and which ones are done and which ones are remaining to do. So like down here, upcoming ones, which I will try not to show, so as not to reveal all of my secrets. And so then I try in the middle to put in things that I've ordered or bought, and the purpose of the purple is to show prices of everything, and also things that I bought in person. And the reason for that is I'm not doing a noseband, but I'm like when we got back to London, we got rid of like tons and tons and tons of stuff from our flat, and we decided that we just wanted to be minimalist. And this was inspired by a comment on my channel, which I am just hugely grateful for. And so that was amazing. And like it took about 3 days, we just got rid of like tons of stuff, and everything looks so much better now. And I'm really, really happy. So I want to keep up with that because it's just great not having any clutter, like for the first time in many years. And so I kind of want to be really careful about like sort of only buying things that I really need and that won't like kind of end up being clutter in the flat. And so as you can see, there's still a lot of stuff highlighted, but these are all like kind of either things that we needed, like that we had to replace when we got rid of the old stuff that we didn't like, or small planner related things. So it's kind of not down as far as I would like it to be, but it's much better having this, because then at least I can keep track of it. Yeah, so then I have exercise here on the line below, and then I have water intake at the bottom. And I originally, you can see on these 3 weeks, I sort of made a line, and the plan was on the like kind of above the bottom grid, and the plan was the bottom line of grid of the box, and the plan was to put water intake in that grid, But then I realized that I kept mistaking that line that I'd drawn in for the line like kind of delineating the end of that box. And so I kept putting the water intake on the line above. So I finally decided to scrap that. And from now on, I'm just going to put it on the bottom line because it didn't seem to need that. And that was confusing my brain for some reason. So that is the month on 2 pages, and I'm just going to keep on using it like that. So it's kind of a mix of tracking and planning, but the only planning that I'm doing here is for YouTube videos. And that's because this is only my personal planner. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, if you haven't been following this saga. So I have a separate work planner, which is my beloved Hobonichi cousin. And because this is only my personal planner, I just put in things like YouTube, personal to-dos, fun stuff. It's like it's kind of only part of my life, so I don't really need this for forward planning. If I have like appointments or something, I do put appointments in here, and I also put them in my work planner so that like it's synced so that I don't miss things. So I kind of feel like if there's something important that I need to check, I look in the work planner if I need to see the monthly overview. So I don't really feel like I need this for that sort of thing. So if we go on to the next section is the weeks. And oh yes, I'm using these bookmarks. These are repositionable bookmarks from the Hobonichi website, and they have little like dog drawings of dogs on them. Like it comes in a pack with a few different ones. I think it's maybe 9 pieces, 10 pieces, something like that. And there are a few different recurring designs, and I really like these. They're cute and they're repositionable, and they don't damage the pages. So I've got one for the month, which is like kind of the furthest to the right. So I know, like when I'm trying to open this, I know straight away that's the months. And then the next one over is the weeks. So I just go to the current week, and then I'll show you this one later. So it started on the week beginning of the 30th of November. And what I decided to do is put my like kind of appointments and sort of like time sensitive things on this side, and then put to-dos on this side. And that is working really well so far. So as you can see, this first week I didn't have a lot of appointments, and that was because we were in Wales, and we were in a really small village, and there was really not like much going on in terms of appointments. But I would also put in things like, so like my Happy Scrappy kit arrived, and James was going away, we had a delivery. I put in stuff like that, these things should go in our family planner, but I was putting them in here as well. And occasionally I was like putting in a sticker at the beginning. I've sort of scrapped the stickers, but these stickers are, they're like diary stickers, and they're plastic, so they're really flat. So I thought if I used them kind of judiciously and not too many of them, and sort of only where it seemed relevant. So this was a birthday party, which in the end I couldn't go to, but I put like a little cake next to it. And this was the first night of Hanukkah. So I put this little thing, which I think is probably also a cake, but it looks kind of like a latke, like a Hanukkah potato pancake. So I put that there. And then my Happy Scrappy kit arrived there, so I put thank you. Anyway, so just a couple of stickers, and what I'm doing here is again using the highlighters, and I'm using them to mark off completed tasks. So everything on this has either been done or has been migrated to the next week. So my goal is at the end of the week that I want to have everything highlighted, that either I will have taken care of everything or it will have been moved. And I've never used this system before, but it's working really well. So I'll show you how it works when we get to the current week, because this is all highlighted. And there's no reason behind this either. I'm just making rainbow patterns. So I find that really, really pleasing. I just like the look of it. And I think it kind of compensates for the lack of stickers, because I like having some color on the page here. And my personal planner before, when I was using a Filofax, I was using like sticky notes and stickers, and it was really colorful, and I liked that. And like I said, I decided not to do that for the weeks, although I have seen some videos of other people putting washi tape and stickers on their weeks, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. So I don't know. It could be that next year I'll decide to experiment with that. But for this year, I'm happy with this so far, and I don't want to change halfway through because I'd kind of like it to look not like identical the whole way, but I'd kind of like it to look more or less, you know, like have the same look throughout. That's what I'm thinking at the moment anyway. That might change. Yeah, so this is just like I'm just kind of going in rainbow order, and I put a little circle next to events using this Hobonichi stencil. I love this stencil. This is out of the, I think that there are 4 different colors of Hobonichi stencils with different designs on them, and I've tried 2 of them, this one and the blue one, and this is the only one that I've ever been able to use. Like the blue one, I like the idea of it. It has like kind of events. It has like, you know, someone like running, and it has weather and like drinking and shopping, and they seem like they would be really good, but somehow I never really liked the way they looked when I put them on the page. This just has geometric shapes, so it has like check boxes and circles and arrows and stuff like that, and I really only ever use the check boxes and the circles. So I use the circles for events, and then I just color them in with a highlighter color, and I try to kind of like make it so that this is rainbow as well, and then like I just highlight these with different colors when they're done, just to kind of give a contrast. And then on the other side I use the tick boxes. Now the tick boxes, you see that there's a row, like a whole row of them here, like 7 or 8, and these are designed to fit perfectly inside the grids of the techos, and they do. And so I use one in my cousin, and it's great because you can just draw a whole line of check boxes and they fit perfectly. Now, I discovered that the grid size on the weeks is like slightly different. I think it must be a little tiny bit smaller than in the A6 and the A5, which means that if you use all of these in a row, if you just, like I do, you see I go like just down like da, 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 da. Eventually, after a little while, it starts to kind of get out of line with the grids, so you kind of have to reposition it, which is not a big deal. It's just something I thought I'd mention in case you were thinking about doing that. You have to like kind of be a bit careful. As you can see here, I have a friction pen here. This is a 0.5 friction pen. So this is erasable, and the highlighters are erasable. So if I made a huge mistake, I could just erase it all. And sometimes I do, and I don't really care if it gets a little bit out of line, but I try to kind of like keep it within the grid boxes. So, yeah, so here's just like a running to-do list. But what I've done is, because I thought if I just had a completely like running list for the week, I might sort of get confused about which day I was supposed to do what in. So I've just drawn, again, using the stencil as a ruler, I've just sort of like drawn in a line following on from this on this side, so that it kind of mirrors it, so that you can see that each one of these is it. I'm not sure how clearly you can see it from there, but let's see. See the lines? So they kind of like, it's like you have basically like a big horizontal day, but on the left is appointments, and on the right is to-dos. And I love having the week to view, because for one thing, it's nice being able to see the whole week at a glance, and secondly, with the to-dos, this is working really, really well, because sorry, I've just noticed that there's a phone number there that I'm trying to cover up. So here, okay, sorry about that. The division between the days works quite well, so I can see like this is what I'm supposed to do on Wednesday. But because of the highlighting system, I highlight things when they're done. I can sort of go back and see the tasks from the beginning of the week, and anything that hasn't been done will be unhighlighted. And oddly, that makes it stand out, because you see that it's like your eye is drawn to it. I'll show you in a minute when we get to the current week, but your eye is drawn to the things that aren't highlighted, because in my brain now, highlighting means it's done and I don't have to look at it anymore. Either it's I've done it, or it's not relevant, it's been cancelled, or, you know, for whatever reason, I don't have to think about it anymore. And so that means that it's quite easy to pick up tasks that haven't been completed, and either I can move them down, or I actually don't have to move them down, because even though it's on a previous day, the fact that it's not highlighted means I still have to think about it. and that's working really well. So I really only once a week, when the week is finished and I move on to the next week, and then I move the bookmark, then that's when I copy things over. So like if there's anything that I didn't manage to do here, I'll just like kind of put it on to whichever day I think seems like the most appropriate. And at the beginning of the week, I do the tick boxes and the lines, which doesn't take very long. And then I have it set up for the week. I haven't done this too far in advance. So you can see like here, this is the current week, and I haven't done next week. And that's just because I often like kind of get carried away. And if I have a bit of free time, then like I will forward either like put a whole bunch of washi tape like on 6 months in advance in my ring bound planner, and then you know, like a month later decide that I don't want to use the ring bound planner anymore, and then I feel like I've wasted all that washi tape. This isn't the same thing because it's just pen, but if for some reason in a few weeks time I realize that actually I would like to organize this in a different way, I don't want to have it all filled in because then I'd have to erase it all. And the Tomoe River paper is fine with the friction pen when you erase it, but because the paper is so thin, it kind of makes an impression. And if you're just erasing, like I only erase things when I've just made a mistake, you know, in the lettering or something small. I don't usually use it to erase like big things. So like say if something's been cancelled, I'll just highlight it instead. For one thing, because then it's kind of a reminder if I ever have to check back, and I can see like, oh yeah, that was supposed to happen and it didn't. I've got a record of it. And also because if it's something that I'm likely to forget, like say that I kind of still think it's happening and there's no record of it, I might think that I just forgot to write it in. Whereas if it's highlighted, then I'll know, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was cancelled. That was a tip that I got from Annie Smith, a wife and mother who does planner videos on YouTube, and I thought that was really clever. So I only use it to like kind of literally fix, you know, spelling mistakes or just where I've just kind of made a mistake in the moment. And I don't want to like kind of have too much to erase. So yeah, so I haven't set up that much in advance, but it doesn't take very long to do and it's fun. So this is last week. And as you can see here, I had a lot more appointments. And that's just because we came back to London. And so there was like kind of more like, you know, I was meeting people. And I also wrote in all the days of Hanukkah because that I thought would be useful to have here. And then I also started putting in a second, well, this was a bit haphazard, but sometimes I had more to-dos than would fit in this. So in one day you have 6 boxes. So sometimes I would have more than 6 to-dos, and I started putting extra ones on here kind of sporadically. I can also go back, and if I've got some blank space in a previous day, then I can use that because, you know, why not? I can still see it. But then this week I really kind of elaborated the system, and so I just sort of went ahead and made 2 lists, kind of roughly halfway. I sort of divided the page in half, and that means that I have less space to write like long to-dos, especially because I've given myself a different checkbox for each line, which means that one to-do can't extend over 2 lines. I could just erase the checkbox, but I decided that it was better to try to like kind of develop a shorthand so that I'm not writing like really long to-dos, because normally if I write something like abbreviated, I'll still know what I mean. If I went back to it a few months later, I probably wouldn't remember anymore, but you know, like in the week, it's fine. So I've been doing that, and that's worked really well because you can see that there's some days where I've needed both columns, and then there's some days where I haven't. But then that gives me more room, and that makes me feel very reassured, because I hate the feeling of thinking that I'm not going to have enough room in my planner. And this is something that I had for years when I used to use like a kind of A6 size bound planner for everything, like for work and everything else. And I was constantly running out of room. And for some reason in all those years, it never occurred to me that maybe I needed more space or a different kind of planning system. So I would always end up like, I would write notes in it, and then I would run out of room for that page, and they would be covered in notes, and then I'd have to start writing appointments from the previous day on the next page, and it was awful. So thank you to the planner community for saving me from many more years of that fate. And so I like knowing that I've got all these extra tick boxes that I can go back and use if I need to. And also I could, if I really needed to, expand onto this side. So like say this was Wednesday, Tuesday, there's nothing more going to happen here because I'm on Friday now. So if I needed to, it's unlikely, but like on Sunday, if I had a whole bunch of stuff to write down, then I could go back and write it here. And because it wouldn't be highlighted, I would be able to find it easily. Because I sort of got used to scanning the whole page for anything that's not highlighted. So it's like this was the week's update, which I was originally thinking of doing yesterday. That didn't get done. So like now it's Friday and I'm doing it now, but I didn't need to rewrite it because I can still see that it's there. I'm not sure how well that's showing up for you, but it's not highlighted and it stands out. And then some things I decide, like if I decide that they're no longer relevant, I don't need to do them, then I just highlight them. And that means that's the same as if I'd done them because it's like they're no longer relevant. And my kind of custom is with tick boxes. I don't actually tick them because somehow my brain doesn't register that. It like, if I've tried like just ticking the tick boxes, which would make sense, and leaving the task, but somehow I never feel like I've done it. So I would have to cross it out. And that's what I do in my other planner where I don't use highlighters. I just cross out the tick box and the whole task. And then it's like my brain is like, okay, you've done that. And the highlighting works in the same way. I just like highlight the whole thing. It's like that whole thing is done. With the appointments, I just highlight them when they've happened because then it's like the same thing. Like I don't have to look at that anymore. And I think because the weeks has this week per page layout, and the divisions between it are, I mean, they're visible, they're clear, but they're quite subtle. So looking at this, to me, sometimes like I sort of get a bit confused about like which day something is, because it's, the writing isn't like giant and you've got the whole week on one page. So having this highlighting system kind of helps because then my eye just goes to the unhighlighted bits and then I know like, okay, well, this is today or tomorrow if, the day is done. So that's how I'm using it. And then these are the sort of the remaining days where there's some more stuff that none of this is highlighted yet because obviously it hasn't happened yet. And then here at the bottom of the page, the first week I was using this, I sort of put in a duplicate exercise log because I thought it might be useful to see how many times in the week I did what. And then I decided that I didn't care and that it was enough having it on the monthly page because I can see this because of the color coding. I can kind of see it at a glance. So I gave up on that and I just decided to use this as a place for notes. If there's anything that I need to know in the week that's not an appointment or a to-do list that would be useful to have. So for example, here, I had a nightmare with a KikiK online order, which there was just a really bizarre thing. For some reason, the courier company claimed that they couldn't find my address, and so they sent it back to KikiK, like without contacting me. And so I was on the phone to them for like an hour, which was just a huge waste of time, not to KikiK, to the couriers and Singapore Post. And so I had to write down this tracking number and I just put it there because then I could, sort of go back and look at it. And I don't usually have things like that happen very often. So there's enough space. There's only 3 lines here, but it's okay for these purposes. And so it's just nice having that bit of extra space in case I need it for something like that. So I'm really, really happy with this layout. I was kind of nervous trying the weeks because I was afraid that there might not be enough room. But somehow because it's divided between the appointments and the to-dos, and you actually, if you sort of are minimalist with how you write them, you have a lot of space, so you can have 12 to-dos per page. And because this isn't my only planner, it's just my personal planner, it doesn't have any of my work to-dos in here. So it's more than enough room. And I find it really reassuring knowing that I can go back and use extra space if I need it, and then I can use extra space here. But my kind of sort of policy is that I don't leave anything from a previous week. Like I don't want to have to go back and check last week because I feel like I would very easily forget things. So if anything is undone at the end of the week, I will move it to the next week if I need to. And I really like the effect of the highlighters. I think it's very different from stickers, but it still is pleasing to the eye, my eye anyway. I like it. It looks happy, which is kind of my main point with the planner. And it's very satisfying crossing things off with the highlighter and like kind of making the rainbow patterns. So for now, I'm going to keep it like that. I put a few stickers on here because I had some on a sticker saver sheet, which I originally had in the back here, and then I took it off because I decided that I didn't really need them. So yeah, I've just got a few appointments for next week, and then I wrote in one to do here. I haven't made the whole grid yet, but I put it in because I know it has to happen in that week. Another thing that I could do is, if I have something like that, I could put it in here in these blank end pages, the blank lines at the end. If kind of like as a holding place, if I know that I have to like forward plan something and I'm not sure exactly where it will go. But I think putting it at the top here is fine, because I know that the week is going to start off with a checkbox and a note. So that's the rest of this. And then we go to the next tab, which is where the reference section starts. And this is one thing that I really love about the weeks, is how when you finish with your planner, you get all of this space for notes. I love this. So I have decorated this a bit with stickers, and I changed the numbers that I originally had in because they were odd numbers. I'd calculated like really bizarrely, so I ended up with, so I have 4 sections. I have planner video ideas, then planner video notes, then stuff to buy, which is like kind of ongoing, like a wish list kind of. And I'm trying to put things here and think about them for a while, so that I don't like just end up ordering things, which is like what I used to do a lot. I would just like order things and then regret it. So I'm just trying to put things here. If like I'm thinking about it, I will like kind of write it down for a while, and then either I'll decide that I don't want it anymore, or if I keep thinking about it, eventually then I'm like, okay, now I'll get it. And then general notes. And so it was kind of bugging me that I had calculated it, so I wanted to leave myself enough room, and I was kind of guessing how much room I'd need. So I ended up with like, this was starting on page 7 or 8, and this was starting on page 29, and that annoyed me. I wanted to have round numbers, so I just changed the numbers, and I gave myself a bit less room for some of these sections, but I think it's okay. And if I need to sort something else out, then I will. It doesn't really matter. So this is planner video ideas, and again, I'm highlighting the ones that I've already done, and then I'm using these are Paper Chase sticky repositionable arrows to highlight the next ones that I'm planning. So in a way it's a bit of duplication, because I also write in the upcoming schedule here, and then I write it in the weekly as well, because sometimes, like, the sort of plans change, so it's just a loose schedule. And I've got a few pages for this. I was kind of nervous that I'd run out of room, because I have all of these like different videos, and it's only been a couple of months, but I think a lot of these won't get made for quite a while, so I'm not too worried about that. And then I've got notes, and I just like kind of put a big highlighting sort of like box around it when I've done it, so that I can see like all of this page is done. Then this one is done, this one is done, there are another few notes here. I'm kind of trying to economize with the pages, because this is my first year using a week, so I'm not really sure how long these pages will last, and I'm kind of terrified of running out of room like partway through the year. So I'm sort of being a bit on the conservative side and not putting a lot of notes in, and like trying to use up all of the page. So like if I have, this was one set of video notes, and so then I'm just putting things on the next page. In my cousin, I don't do that, because I have so much space that I know there's no way that I'll run out, so I use pages with wild abandon. But in the weeks, I want to be more careful until I've used it for a year and kind of know how long it will last. So if there's anything that's like kind of sort of like ephemeral, like just a sort of random list that I don't feel like I need to keep, or that I want to have here, I'm putting it somewhere else, not in the weeks. And then let's see, so I've got each of these sections tabbed, and I really like the top tabs, by the way. They are working very well. Then I have this is the list of stuff to buy, and the highlighted ones are ones that either I've decided that I don't need or that I've bought. And then the last tab is just like kind of random notes, and most of this is actually from everything up till here was when I was using this before the week started. So this was like about a month and a half worth of, I started putting the to-do list here, and then I got worried again that I would run out of space. So I stopped putting to-dos in here, and I like kind of started putting them in our home planner just to economize on space. And this was my water tracker for those 6 weeks. And then this is when I started using it just for random notes. So this is things like how to enable Java on something, or on my phone, I think. So I just wrote down the steps for doing that. And then this is the Kiki K shop, the address of the Kiki K shop in London. And so just, yeah, for like random things that aren't in any particular order or belong to any particular category. And then at the very back of the note section, I put in like sort of some more long-term things. So this is a minimalism checklist, like things that I want to remember to do for sort of my new policy of minimalism. So I can just check this if I get sidetracked. And this is a list of things that what I'm going to use various planners for. And the highlighted ones are ones that are locked, like the ones that I've decided, yes, I'm definitely using it for that. And then at the very back in the contacts pages, I've put in the two Kiki K shops in London. And so one of them is a pop-up shop, and then the other one is like kind of the actual shop, and they're right next to each other. But so I went to one of them today, the pop-up shop, which was really, really exciting, as I mentioned. So I got these sticky notes, yay. Yeah, and so I just thought it would be convenient, even though with my phone I don't really actually need the directions. I just thought it's good to have them there just in case. And then on the back, I don't have anything here. I was thinking about putting this card in, like in the same way as this one is with the glue dots. I'd have to cut it down a little bit, and that's because I had this on the back cover of the plastic cover on cover when I was using that, and I really like it, so I kind of miss not having it here. But the problem is that I have to cut it down a little bit more to fit in, and I have to cut off part of the ear and part of the tail, and I'm not sure if that would look good, so I haven't decided about that yet. But it's kind of nice having a bit of color. Though on the other hand, I sort of like the you know, kind of the sleek minimalist look as well. And here I just have this stencil, which you've seen, and then here, this is, I think, my crowning achievement. I'm quite proud of this. So as you know, there was no pen loop on this cover, because it's a travel wallet, so fair enough. And there's no pen loop on the weeks. So my go-to solution whenever I need a pen loop is the Leuchtturm pen loops, which I just love, and they come in all different colors, and like they're amazing. But I was a bit afraid to commit to putting one on here, just in case I decided that I didn't like it where it was, because they have this like really strong adhesive backing. So you kind of have to commit. If you're putting it on paper, like you're not going to get it off without tearing the paper, and I've done that before, and it's not a pretty sight. So I was just afraid to put it anywhere, partly because it's kind of thick. Like so for a sort of normal, something like a Moleskine, which is, you know, kind of like got thick covers, you wouldn't really notice it. But for something like this, the Weeks, because it's so delicate, I kind of didn't want to add this extra layer of lumpiness, and I was afraid if I didn't like it that I would be just perpetually vexed by it and end up tearing it off, and then I would cry because it would look awful. So James came to my rescue because he said, like, why don't you slot it into here and like put a backing on? And so we came up with this solution, which is, you might have seen this before. This has traveled with me from planner to planner. This is a magic card from the game Magic the Gathering. It's the Orcish Librarian, and like, because I'm a lecturer and I like libraries, I'm in libraries a lot, this is was an appropriate card for me. So I wanted to put this on here, and I'd originally put it on here with washi tape, and again I didn't like the way it looked because this card is kind of thick, so it's like the uneven textures, it's like it's lumpy. There's something about it that was not nice. So I didn't know what to do with the Orcish Librarian. And it turns out the Orcish Librarian is the perfect size to fit in one of these credit card holders. And if you put it in like this and stick the back of the Leuchtturm pen loop on, it holds it perfectly, and it fits in here, which means that you don't have to kind of commit to permanently, like there was nowhere good to put the pen loop on here. I didn't want to stick it on here anyway, because, you know, Lord knows what would happen if I tried to take it off. And it's just in the perfect position, and it stays in because it's exactly the size of the credit card holder, and you can like kind of put it under the, what's this called, like the hem. So comes out, goes in perfectly, and that's like the fantastic solution because you can still see the Orcish Librarian and it adds a little bit of color. So that is my weeks. And oh yeah, I've got these two charms that I cut off the bookmarks. They're originally 2 bookmarks, which I didn't really like because I like top tabs better, and I just tied these on, and so they're like little charms at the top. So that is my current week setup. I'm really, really happy with it. I love the weeks. It's the personal planner for me. I know it's always seemed to be dangerous to talk about planner peace or planner nirvana, but I really, really feel like I have just like come home with the weeks. I love it. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed seeing this setup, and I'll do another setup after a couple of months when I've got some more stuff to show you. And in the meantime, I have lots of other videos coming up. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.